Have you been wanting to try ChatGPT app for your Mac? Well, guess what? Now you can.
Welcome to All Future, where we talk all things tech, AI, Apple throughout the week. If you've been enjoying these videos, big thank you for watching them, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate it. We're doing these throughout the week, and today we're talking about ChatGPT. So a couple weeks ago, they had their event that announced all these new features, announced that Sky Voice, which is now already gone, and then they announced
Goodbye,
their
fake Scarlett Johansson.
yeah, sadly, but not. They announced their Mac app. And that was like a staggered rollout. But at this point, that has officially come, so any customer can get it, even free users, correct?
I believe so. Good question. I'm a paid user, so I don't know. I can use it.
I think everyone can get the Mac app now.
I believe it is everyone can now have access. It's going to use... Paid users will get more use tokens, I guess, right? So it's if you're a free user, it's eventually going to go, oh, you can't ask it any more questions for 3 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah. So this is very cool because it has audio features built into the desktop. So that's just like the app icon that you would use for your voice. It has the option spacebar key. So you can use Spotlight Search on a Mac with Command Space, or you can use Option Space to ask ChatGPT something. So this just makes it really quick and really available on your Mac. You can also upload files, photos, and take screenshots of any open window through the app itself, and then do something with that. It handles notifications, and then it has an offline mode. So that's one of the big draws of this for sure. I'm sure there's a limit of what you can do with offline mode, of course. But ultimately, it's very cool, but at the same time, it's basically the functionality we've had, just in a nicer package, right?
Yeah, I would say this is... I mean, it's what you could do through the web interface, except now it's a lot easier to get to. So I actually... like that a lot too. Though, like having that shortcut keys, I guess, to make it come up, that's cool. I like that. In fact, I want more of that, and I suspect at WWDC we're going to see more of it because just playing around with it, I want it to go to voice instantly. I just want to talk to it. Like I don't want to have to type a thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be much better if I could just instantly activate it. If you guys remember when MacBooks had the touch bar at the top, and it would have a Siri shortcut that you could just kind of press and activate Siri from that bar. So I want something that functions like that, where I can literally just, if I do this, key commands here, it starts listening and doesn't just bring up kind of the spotlight window. I can immediately talk to it because, and I've said this before, voice is the way to interact with this thing. Like it works so well. It's so natural. You can get out so much more information quickly. So that's what I want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some of the stuff is already pretty nice, but I can see another layer. Like right now on a Mac, I think it's Command-Shift-3 takes a desktop screenshot, 4 takes like a particular one. So if you add another one there, like it's already within my muscle memory, and it just screenshots it into ChatGPT, and then I just type.
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
And I suspect that this is probably part of the kind of, arrangement with Apple, whatever their integration is going to be with this thing on the Apple side, is that they wanted to hold back some kind of fuller integration like what you're talking about until later. Because the other thing it cannot do, unlike, say, what Microsoft showed us with Copilot Plus last week, where essentially you can just tell Copilot to look at your screen. That's not really what happens here. What happens on the Mac app for GPT is that you're literally doing screenshots. Like that's literally what you're doing is taking a screenshot kind of the normal way you would do it, or it has this little menu within the app that it'll take the screenshot for you and save you a step, I guess, of loading it in. But it's not like this always around assistant that you can just hit a shortcut key and say, hey, help me out with this.
Yeah.
Which is that's what I want, right? This is like, a cooler interface. It's quicker than going to the web, but not nearly as quick as it could be or as something like Copilot is.
Yeah, absolutely. And for a lot of people, I guess that is a certain barrier. I don't think you're very scared of it. I'm not too scared of it, especially on the safety, knowing there's safety built into the computer level of things and it being able to access and how far that stuff can go. But I could see even just the extra step of like, no, I took this screenshot and now I'm uploading it, as opposed to like, I clicked a button and ChatGPT screenshot it. It's just a different mindset. It gives
you a fake sense of control over your digital kind of privacy, which again, I've said many times is a complete illusion and does not exist. So that doesn't bother me. I'm like, let the thing see everything because it just would make my life easier, and I already assume that things can see everything anyways.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so the screenshotting stuff you could do before, it's just now you don't have to like go to a window and upload your file. You just do it through the app and it'll automatically see and you can respond to it. So that's pretty exciting to see. A couple examples of just some easy things that you could do with this. One is font finder. So I just put in one of the thumbnails from one of our videos. It found the font. Which I guess maybe I won't disclose the font. You can do it. You can.
So neither of us make the thumbnail, so I don't care if people know the font is. It's like Proxima something. I think.
Proxima Nova.
Yeah.
But maybe you could test it yourself, see if it gets it. But then it can read into a spreadsheet. This one was a little interesting to me, and give some like analysis there. You can give it an itinerary and it'll read into that. It can help you with various apps and stuff and kind of guide you through because you're taking screenshots. But you've been experimenting with this. Do you have any use cases?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to see how close I could get to replicating what Microsoft showed, really, which is like, hey, can this thing kind of live give me help with what's going on?
Yeah.
And again, there's a little bit of an extra step because you got to send it the screenshot. But, I just to test it out, I opened up some image editing apps. I did Photoshop. I did Affinity. I did video editing. I opened up Final Cut. And I opened up a Pages document. And I would just kind of mess around inside the app for a minute, then take a screenshot, and then ask GPT a technical-ish question. So, for example, I loaded up just a bunch of just nonsense paragraphs into Pages. And I said, hey, can you form this in MLA formatting? And which is whatever. It's like a standard like thing for like papers and stuff that people write. But boom, it goes, oh yeah, I can see that text. I know what's happening. Here's what you need to do. Which, okay, then you could already like kind of copy and paste that text out, right? So then the next step is, hey, can it recognize what the app is and give me instructions within that app? And it absolutely could, like in a pretty good way. So inside Affinity, which is a photo editor, I just asked it, hey, how do I get rid of this part of the image? And it goes, oh, well, and like many programs, there's 6 or 7 ways to do that. And it goes, oh, there's a few ways. Here you go. And it kind of walked me through those steps, which I was like, oh, that's cool. Like
so doing that, is it referencing like the owner's manual, I guess, to get you that info?
I have no idea. Like something it was trained on, right?
It's
like
impressive.
it was trained on something. And, some of them, like it was a little fuzzy with what I was exactly asking it, but this is where I actually think kind of a strength of all these large language models out of systems is that I can stop it and go, wait, no, that's not what I was saying. This is what I meant. And it goes, oh, okay. Because I'll give you an example. I had a document open, a Pages document, and I just said, I sent it a screenshot, and I said, hey, and I asked it how to bold a word in it. Just a pretty simple one. And he goes, okay, this is how you do it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, hey, I also want to make it more exciting. And he goes, okay. And then it told me how to bold it in an exciting way. He goes, well, if you want to bold something, this, and I was like, whoa, no, stop. I meant the text in the document, make that more exciting. And then went, oh, my bad. And then, and then told me how to do it. It actually did say like my mistake or something like that. It had these weird like conversational things it does.
Yeah.
So it was useful. It was, I mean, I was doing obviously fake tests, but there are times when now it could be useful and be more effective than using, say, the help button or going to try to find the Reddit post or the manual or, anything that could, needs that extra bit of context to tell you exactly what to do in a natural way. It was really good at it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's interesting because it makes me think of certain things that get replaced. Like the classic example is when we were kids saying, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. You need to memorize these timetables because you're never going to have a calculator in your pocket at all times. And then we absolutely do now. And same thing here with like a future iteration of this where it can actually act, where you ask it for MLA formatting.
Yeah.
And instead of telling you how to do it and guiding you through it, or you copy and paste, it just does it within Pages.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, right? That execution, that's the next move.
Yeah, which is crazy to me to think like a couple years from now, kids doing MLA formatting, it'll just be a button, you know?
Yeah. Well, then, I mean, and you look at kind of the advancements in computing in the last 10, 15 years or something like that. Like, most younger kids now don't even think to like save documents, right? Because that's an old metaphor for a lot of things for what they do on a daily basis, right? There's no real saving if you're in like an Apple app anymore, right? It's just doing like the different iterations of it that you can go back to. And that's such like app, like a mobile app world thing, right? You just close it and you're like, oh, it's just going to be there when I come back to it.
Yeah.
Why would I think about saving it, right? So you like these kind of computer things kind of just start slowly falling by the wayside, and eventually, we're so used to kind of that menu bar at the top where it's like, it's usually like file, edit, windows, whatever, like, whatever it says at the top in the different apps. And it's, are we even going to need any of those when we're going to have these better AI integrations? Probably not.
So as for things it can't do, we obviously have this stuff that we've talked about, acting on certain things. It's always one step removed to a certain degree from actually getting something done. But another thing it can't do is listen to audio files. And then, so it's no like Shazam replacement in that regard, or I don't think it's doing voice transcriptions in that regard. And then no video things, no watching videos and training from them or getting you info from them, no video editing, no video recall features.
Yeah. So it's not, it can't see anything, for lack of a return, that's kind of live, I guess, right? Like it just doesn't do that yet. And even when you can actually give it access to your webcam, but when you do that, it's taking just a still image off your webcam is what it does. So you can't like turn on your webcam and hold something up and try to like move it around. Well, the demos we've kind of seen, which, all these kind of live view situations, it's not really doing that. It's really, you can give it a still image, whether that is a screenshot or a photo or a still from the webcam, and then interact with it that way. And that's where anything past that, that's where you're starting to hit a wall with it. But again, I suspect that's because Apple wants to talk about how they're actually going to integrate these things into the OS. So it's not time yet, I guess, to talk about them.
Yeah, definitely, because this is that version 1, and it's always one step removed, as we keep mentioning. But come WWDC, or whenever these features actually arrive, we know they're going to want a Copilot competitor. So Pages is going to have some sort of AI features, and if it's all integrated with ChatGPT on like the desktop level, then absolutely they can make it where it's interactive in that way, and it can actually do actions for you within Pages in an AI manner. But it will always be interesting to see how they work out like partnership versus their own features, because they could easily make those AI features themselves within Pages, some fairly basic stuff that could happen on device, especially with the M series chips. So does it even need to integrate with ChatGPT?
We keep talking about that as that's a foregone conclusion, which it kind of seems like it is, that the GPT is going to integrate with Mac OS or an iOS some kind of way, and they're going to talk about that at WWDC. But Apple has never said that. The OpenAI guys have never said that. And in fact, a few weeks ago, there was a rumor about a Gemini integration. So, and there's the whole, I forgot what the count was, Apple's bought 30-something AI companies over the last year. So what are those guys doing, right? So I don't think we really know yet what that integration is going to be. And that's one of the reasons why I think this WWDC is going to be exciting, because they're going to have to say something. The worst thing to do is say something that's disappointing or a non-answer. Like if they're like, hey, and we know AI is a thing, and you ain't seen nothing yet, we're working on it, like, some kind of Apple nonsense. And then we don't get to have an idea where this plan's going. But the truth is we don't know at all, right? Like there's no real concrete facts out there. And there could be do something like we've seen Adobe do with how they're integrating AI stuff and letting you pick different models to use for different things. So maybe we will see a version where you can use, ChatGPT and OpenAI stuff for some things, Gemini for something else. Llama, there's something internally built by Apple. DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, Midjourney. There's a million different kind of companies they could partner with to use the technology. And the truth is, we really just don't know what they're going to use yet.
Definitely, yeah.
Like in a practical way, not in let me play around so I can talk about it in the video way. You've actually been engaging with it a lot more, huh?
Only a little bit so far. I'm still trying to figure out the use cases and where it actually improves my workflow as opposed to hindering it, which is kind of the process of like training anyone to help you with anything. It's the same I'm finding with AI, because at first it's like, oh, okay, it didn't actually really help, and this is taking me more time to figure out how to get it to do this thing. But once you get over that hump and actually figure out use cases, it's very helpful, obviously. So I'm still kind of in the process of finding things that would actually be useful for it.
And when do you think just having that shortcut key thing is going to make you use it more.
I think so. Yeah,
I think so too. That's what I was
just
thinking.
downloaded it today, so I'm excited to try that throughout this week.
Because there is that level of, oh, maybe GPT can help with this. Like right now, GPT is kind of like my third tier option a lot of times. I don't think to go to it at first. And I'm like, oh, well, and then you got to either take out your phone to use it or go to the website and do all that stuff. But if it's just a shortcut key away, I suspect I'm going to start using it a lot more just to help with quick things. Like, hey, look at the screenshot and tell me what's going on here. Like, it's something we didn't really talk about in depth, but like you can give it screenshots of Excel spreadsheets and all kinds of like pretty complex data and information and pull useful information out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just having that shortcut key, while seemingly very simple, I think is going to make a lot more people more excited to engage with this thing and use it.
Definitely, because if you just think about how you interact, I use tons of key commands all the time.
Oh yeah, come on, we're pros. We're a team shortcut over here.
Yeah.
If I'm touching the mouse, I'm messing up.
Exactly. So if I just think about the workflow of like, let's say I copy some text, Command C, and then I just click now Option Space, summarize this for me. Command paste, boom.
Yeah, and I mean, while there is a lot of steps, kind of, it is still very muscle memory kind of steps.
Yeah,
right?
that's like 5 seconds.
Yeah. It's probably quicker than that, right?
Yeah.
It'd be super quick to like get all that information. So yeah, like I think this is gonna make people use it more, and and like we've been saying, is probably a precursor to what Apple is actually going to show when they show that full integration.
Absolutely. Obviously, this is always in a beta form, even though they're not labeling it a beta. So I'm excited kind of that Apple is labeling things as a beta. But I was experimenting the other day. I have a brick wall, and I wanted to put a clock on it. And so I would put in an image of that brick wall and say, can you give me an example of a mid-century designed clock? And it listed some clocks. It was actually helpful with the information, but then it gave me like a Dolly generated image of a clock on a random brick wall. And I was like, can you use my image? And it would say, my bad, here's your image with the clock on top of it. Let me manually make that. And then it's just another generated brick wall. And that kept happening. So
that's like, look, ChatGPT is a people pleaser. So no matter what, it'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Here's the fix, even if it's 100% wrong again. Yes, and that's the image generation. So ChatGPT uses Dolly for image generation, which is not, I don't think it's the best diffusion image generation system. I think Midjourney is much better. Even all these like local stable diffusion models that run are better than what Dolly can do a lot of times. But I think it's more point you in the right direction kind of stuff, right? It's not like, oh, like this isn't ready for prime time. I can't like take this image and do something with it, but it can give me a idea of where I need to head. So I think that's kind of what it's doing. But I guess we'll see, like as these things go on and as we're looking at maybe a bigger OS integration, that's where having the LLMs run through the OS can be interesting, because then you can say like, oh, well, I'm pulling in this data from GPT. Hey, now can I pull in this data from Midjourney and combine those and with the webcam from my laptop, right? So it's like can use different models, different programs, different sources to give you what you're looking for.
Yeah. So all these features that we've been talking about are available to all users. You can get this app on Mac, which is very exciting. And then we'll just see how it improves from here and how it becomes more of a just habit to use it.
Yeah. Go try it out. Let us know.